Hello, everybody, and welcome to VFR. Today, we are back in our DC-6. We're going to be doing some historic airliner flights, some Propliner flights, flying our DC-6B from San Diego all the way to the Pacific Coast to, ultimately, through San Francisco, but ultimately to the other one, Seattle. Maybe on to Vancouver, too. We will see. So I gotta find my flights first. So thank you all for coming along tonight. Hope you all are doing well. We're sticking in Southern California for tonight's flight. And then, so hoping, if everything goes well, we'll get to San Diego, to Los Angeles, and then on to San Francisco. But what are we doing? So we've done one of these before. It was, how to put it, interesting. Insofar as, if you were interested in crashing, it was pretty interesting. That was the one we dunked it into the water on final into Jamaica, into Montego Bay, was it? I don't remember. Pilot like quarterback, short memory, I don't think that's something that you are supposed to have. But we're going to do the same thing. That one was Pan Am. We're flying United today. And I just wanted to take a second and show y'all where I find these things. Like, we're going to be flying based off of a complete schedule from the airline. Basically showing what they flew back in the day. It's like an early flight aware. And we'll actually kind of mix and mash some of these things. But let's pull it up on the screen. So this is the timetable that we're working with. And in case you're interested in such things, I actually found this one on this site, Timetable Images, airlinetimetableimages.com. They've got a bunch of timetables from history times, from a bunch of airlines across the world. So if you're interested in any of these, this is a great place to look. We're down in United land for this one, the Mainliner. 1959, April 1st, 1959. And this is the northbound schedule. So we're in San Diego, and we are going to fly north to as far as it will go. So looking at the flights we have available to us, and basically this timetable, it's a little bit, I don't think it's intuitive to a modern air travel. If you're used to flying in the world today, it's not how you shop for a flight, right? But in the old days, this is how you did it. And they would publish a big book of these with many pages of all these routes. And so basically, we'll zoom in here on this page. But basically, this shows you all of the different flights going to these different stops. And you'll see on the left is the station, the stop, the airport. So we're at San Diego, and each of these represents a stop that one of these flights stops at some point. The top is the flights, so this would be the flight number, and then the symbol indicates what aircraft it was. Triangles are some form of a DC-6, DC-6B, DC-7 kind of thing. And there are some differences, but generally we're looking for something with a triangle. And this is also spelled out on one of these pages. I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds with that. But that is what that means. So they've got symbols for the airplane that you're on. You have a couple fun things like red carpet service, which would be the direct flight from Los Angeles International Airport to Portland. And so how do we read one of these flights? So say we want to fly between Los Angeles and Portland. Well, we can look up this table and we see, oh, well, we can take red carpet service departing at noon, 12 p.m. And it's scheduled to arrive at Portland at 3:10 p.m. So that's a direct flight between Los Angeles and Portland. And then if we wanted to go to Seattle, well, we can get on that flight too. It'll stop in Portland, but we can get there with that same flight number. So we'd be flying United 775. Now, other flights, there are some symbols here. I'm not sure exactly what that means. But you could also take United 651, which I think this means that there was either a feeder airline or some other airline coming into it. We could look it up and see what that was exactly. But that's, a flight from San Diego to Los Angeles, which we can count. And then you would depart Los Angeles International at noon. You would arrive in San Francisco at 1:40. United 651 would then depart San Francisco at 12:15 and arrive in Oakland at 12:34, so a cool 20-minute flight. And then departing Oakland, you would arrive in Portland around 5:21, and then the flight would continue from Portland to Seattle-Tacoma at 6:31. And so I think that's basically, we'll call ourselves United. I can't remember what I put in the description, but basically we want to hit all these big stations. San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, do a small flight to Oakland, Portland, Seattle, and then we could even go on to Vancouver if we wanted to. But so that's what we are working with. So we're going to call ourselves, let me write that down because I've forgotten it a couple times, United 651. Will work for us, for our purpose. But that's just where we're finding these routes. And it's just kind of a nice, different way to explore the country, I think. But it gives you an itinerary kind of spelled out. Checking on chat, Chris, greetings, welcome aboard. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be getting on our way here in just a second as we fly here from San Diego. And a little gun shy, I haven't flown the DC-6 in a while, so this first leg at least isn't going to be on VATSIM, and then we'll see what things are like heading out of LA and to San Francisco. So I hope you all are doing well. Well, yeah, we'll talk more when we get into the air. But just been flying a little bit more other Propliners. Little Beach Model 18, little DC-6, and figured we'd get the big boy back into it. This is also my first, I think, real steel. I think I've done some practice flights, but real steel flight with my proper, with my new throttle setup. So we've got a proper full 4 throttles with reverser and prop controls, which took forever to figure out using X's and O's. So let's get into the driver's seat and go ahead and get started. For today, we are going to fly this Classic, so we're going to have to plan this route out too, but let's get rid of that GPS. Go with our Bendix radios. Everything else is going to be just fine. Ramp Manager, I'm just going to get us set up for fuel and load. We're going to go full mains. And we'll leave the aux tanks for now, but we are going to be pretty heavily laden. A bunch of passengers. And probably about 6,000 pounds of fuel. So we'll take that, and that's pretty standard loadout. With 1,000 pounds in both alternates, and that should be, and more than enough, for us to get up to San Francisco. I would, and I don't know exactly. It's an interesting question. Did they load these airplanes up with full fuel? I mean, the DC-6 can have a lot of fuel. So are they loading? Are they topping off the tanks at the beginning of the flight? Or are they just filling the mains? Are they fueling at every stop? I mean, with the turn times in the turnaround times in Oakland, I mean, that's only a 20-minute turn. They land in Oakland 2:34 and depart at 2:55. So there's not that much time for fueling and other servicing needed. So, I mean, I don't even know. Imagine they'd shut the engines down. Why can I not get rid of my wheel right now? That's all right. We're all locked up. Let's get this airplane going.
Cockpit pre-flight.
Let me just double check weather. We do not have live weather. Let's get live weather going. And then time for departure was going to be,
Voice recorder.
we're looking at 10:40 a.m.
Oil coolers and cow flaps. Porta in position. Fuel and fluids.
So 10:20 gets us close.
Pressurization.
Well, we should rough it in a little more if we're going to time ourselves.
Manifold and duct pressure.
I really wish you could type in a time. It's a small thing, but
Radios.
because sometimes I'd like to be able to offset the live time by like 12 hours exactly, so that if I look at my watch, so I can still fly in daytime on VATSIM if it's like a nighttime,
Doors and hatches.
the normal time I fly. But you can still look, and the times would be, right to the minute. Just off by 12 hours. But anyway, I digress.
Closed. Door warning lights. Out. Gear pins.
So while they're working, we should probably work too. Let's get started with our route. We're going to go to Sky Vector for this.
Adjusted. Throttles. Set to idle. Propellers.
They can't be doing all the work
Forward
for
and
us.
3.
All right, so Sky Vector, let's see where we're at. We're at San Diego. San Diego International Airport, KSAN. We're heading up to a final destination of Los Angeles, LAX. Again, I'm not really going to just try to decipher too much of that routing and the departures and whatnot. But what we can do is figure out some stuff. So, San Diego, what do we have as far as departures? And out to the north. Camp Pendleton. Eagle Beach, so that's Mission Bay. So we'll look more at charts in a little bit, but basically let's rough this in, right? I say we try to get to the Oceanside VOR first. All right, we'll do it in order. Oceanside VOR first, and then probably the Victor 23 airway is probably pretty good. Out to Seal Beach. And then vectoring ourselves into LA. It should not be a long flight. 57 minutes and 110 knots, and we're going to be going somewhat faster than that. 220 knots makes it 28-minute flight. We're not going to be very high. We're just kind of popping up and going back down. So, looking at that, we're looking at a half-hour flight time if things go poorly. I don't see us going much above 6,000 feet. I mean, we could even go a little... let's call it 6,000. That should be fine. And then we'll just cruise on up to LAX that way. Weather in San Diego right now. Wind 300 at 8 knots. 10 surf mile visibility, clear skies. Temperature 17 degrees C. A little chilly for old San Diego. Altimeter 3003. And yeah, that's pretty good. We're getting flight planned out, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, so we're gonna find our way to the Oceanside VOR, and we'll figure it out. If we really wanted to, that looks like a decent departure, assuming we're off that runway 300 at 3. Though I think we're going the other way, if I'm not mistaken. So San Diego has a 9 and a 27, so we're gonna want the 27, which is gonna spit us out to the west, which I don't know. So this is north. Let me orient myself. So this is north, right? So yeah, that sends us the right way. So 27 works for me. So 27 to, and we could even call it this radial here. Not that it really matters. I'm sure that's part of an arrival. But to go out to Sargs there and pick up the radial to Oceanside, which would be 346 inbound. If I was good, I'd come up with a table of this stuff. I could get the nav log out, actually. If I was logged in, I'm not. So we're going to come off. So flight briefing for today. We're going to come off the runway. We're going to fly have runway 27 for departure. Here at San Diego, we're going to fly. We're going to climb up to, we're going to climb 6,000 feet in absence of any other direction. And fly runway heading 275 until we intercept the 346 radial inbound to Oceanside. Once we hit Oceanside, we'll then make the left-hand turn to stay on the airway. Chris, they use KSAN uses 27 most of the time. Well, because I was looking at the feather here for runway 9, and that was getting me confused, but I guess they want you departing out towards the ocean to avoid noise. Do they? Yeah, interesting. Isn't it like the busiest single runway airport in the States? And I'm just writing out a little nav log for myself, and then we're hitting the Seal Beach VOR. .7. And then LAX, we can go ahead and take an educated guess as to what the weather's going to be there since it's a half-hour flight. 190 at 5 knots. Sensor smile visibility. I don't know what LA is doing. I don't know that I care. I think it has to do with trade winds. Maybe. Altimeter 3003. So that's good. Let me, before I've said that 3 times, and I'm going to forget to do it. 3003. Okay. So that's a start. 115.3. And then 115.7. And then 115.7 here. And then on nav 2, I'm just going to pull in just in case something goes wrong. The is that the North Island VOR? 117.0. Just as a little fallback navigation. So thank you all for coming along, for just joining us. We are prepping our flight here. First leg of United 651. United mainliner flight from 1959. We're going to be operating up the Pacific Coast all the way to Seattle, possibly Vancouver, although it didn't historically happen on the flight, but we'll look past that. So we've got our VOR set up. We are ready, I think, for an engine start. Now, I'm going to be a little rusty, and I forget what the, in truth, I forget what the realistic procedure was, but I am going to mess with the mixtures. Put that all up. Boost pumps to low. Engine selectors on 3. We can turn both magnetos on for 3. And let's verify that we have fuel pressure. On 3, we do. And I'm going to trust that the guys got it set up for us.
3, 6, 9, 12.
That's engine 3. Stabilize. Yeah, I gotcha. That's 3. Good. Good engine start on 3. Let's get 4 going. Engine 4, boost pumps to low, magnetos to both. And we'll verify fuel pressure. Fuel pressure is good.
3, 6, 9, 12.
Boost prime and pray. That appears to be coming in. All right, engine 2. Both boost pumps to low. Engines to 2. At this point, we can also go over to plane battery and remove the ground power unit. We have fuel pressure, we do.
3, 6, 9, 12.
Boost prime and pray. Come on. That's something. All right, finally, engine 1. Verify fuel pressure.
12.
Boost prime and come on. Alright, so we'll let those engines warm up a little bit. We should have too many problems here in sunny San Diego. Everything else is stowed. After start checks, please. Let's just verify my maintenance manager. I'm going to put up a counter eventually for how many engines we destroy on this trip. Hopefully it's 0, but, you know, I'll take less than 2 or 3. Less than a full set.
Emergency lights. Armed.
It's yelling at me for oil temperature.
Removed. After start checks complete.
It's a little low and engine's shaking itself apart here. We're off to a great start. And so just, I'm just trying to knock the rust off of some of this. Got our engine oil temps. Carb air is here. Oil pressure, fuel pressure. Outside air temperature. Water pressure. There's our cylinder head temperature. We want all this stuff in the green. Still find that oil temperature is just a little low, so we'll let it run. We'll also probably do a little run up at the end. Just to make sure. And alright, I think we are pretty much good to go. And we are in the classic 1959, 1950s United Liberty Day. You get the more modern one, by modern in quotations, in I think 62. Might have been 60, 63. All right. So San Diego. We're headed to 27, which is going to be that way going out towards the sea. So let's call a little bit of a pushback asset here. And I just want you to put me back here a little bit. I mean, we'll even keep it off the road for now. I gotta make sure that I'm not holding on the brakes, otherwise you'll tip back and just fall over like a tipped cow. So the left oil temps are still a little low. That's alright. Do we have room at the end to do a little run up? I'm just gonna load these two airports in. And again, it's not gonna be a high cruising altitude today, it's just a very short flight, KSAN. Even for a DC-6. Yeah, we can probably actually duck off into Delta. Back by San Diego International. Oh, and I'm cheating too. Let's get rid of the moving map. So I will use the fancy charts. But I will turn off the moving map. Alright, we're rolling away. Let's not roll away yet. So yeah, I think we're going to park it. We're going to bring it out, park it down by Delta here. Just out of the way a little bit. And we'll run up our engines real quick. Just make sure they're ready to go. Alright, so let's get taxiing on out. San Diego is a fun airport. It's a fun approach. I confess that I don't do as much West Coast flying as I would sometimes. I'm just not as familiar with it. I'm still on Navigraph, aren't I? That's not going to help. not going to help. And we're moving. Does it show me anything? Yeah. So what did I say? We're going off at Delta to just run up the engines, get some air going, get some heat going. Make sure they don't crap out on us. I don't remember all the stuff you're supposed to do in the run up. I suppose I could pull it up. Checklists and resources. We're looking for that PMDG DC-6. And is that in the POH? No. Not that one. Check out the engine run up. So the manual instructs us to put parking brakes on, set hydraulic pressure 2600 to 3050 psi, and then a couple deleted sections. Check the prop governor. So 1700, lock the throttles, and then check each RPM switch. We'll run through this. This is fun. And we do the propeller checks, feather checks, generators, inverters. They check all the superchargers. I'm going to be honest, we're not going to check that now. Water injection switches. I do believe we'll need water injection because we are above 95,000 pounds gross weight. I'm not worried about ice, so we'll go through most of this. Just some of the little switches can be finicky. Looks like we got a stiff wind from the windsocks. That's good. We'll just pull off here and get set up. So again, thank you all for coming. We are starting our Pacific Coast trek in the DC-6B Flying United. Flight 651 from April 1959. DC-6 Mainliner. And at this point, I mean, there were some other airplanes coming into service. DC-7 in particular. But United was running a lot of DC-6, DC-6Bs, and other members of that family. Alright, so, parking brakes. On. I shall repeat. On. Check hydraulic pressure. It doesn't mean the water pressure here. I actually think it's up here on this panel. So many gauges. Hydraulic reservoir is good, so we're getting close. That's all cabin stuff. That's fuel pressure. Oh, so my AFE is telling me it's okay. Not that that's the right answer, but we'll come back to it. Okay, so we're going to do our governor check. We're going to increase engine speed 1700 RPM. And then we're going to lock out the engines there, which is going to be just past 15. Guess I gotta get rid of the gust lock here. Alright, let's try it again. And did we roll anywhere? No, we did not. Good. So just slowly advancing throttles. I know, so many gauges, so little time. Did it? Oh, my RPM's all the way down. That's why. Oops, sorry, engine. Strike one against me. Okay, so that's about 1700 RPM. And then we're going to move these until we get 1200 RPM. Do I have to go into manual mode? Perhaps. Interesting. There it goes. It's a good check on one. There goes two, so I guess it takes a little bit of patience. It looks like 1200 or so. Check four. So that appears to be working. And we'll try three. And that's good. So thank you all for coming along to Gauge Simulator, where we watch needles slowly go down. That looks pretty good. But it is one of my theories about one of the many things I've done with it wrong with the DC-6. Probably getting up in the air a little fast, firing it up and going. So if all this does, next thing we got to do is exercise with the prop lever on each engine. So this synchronize button, do I have to press resynchronize? This is good. This is good practice for me. We're on engine, you can't see because of the lever. Still can't see because of the lever. We're on engine 3 right now, so all the props are being governed by engine 3. So we're going to bring the master prop lever back. And then bring it back into full forward, takeoff position, and then check it against engine 2. Just make sure our governors are working. But that is one of my theories, is I get up in the air too fast and go. Snip, welcome aboard, yeah. Thanks for coming along. It's good to hear from you. Well, hopefully it is uneventful. We're taking it slow, and we'll see if we end up in the Pacific closer to San Diego or Los Angeles. And maybe even the Frisco Bay. I don't know. All right, that's all good. That's all set up. Next up, so we've done all our prop stuff. We're in full forward takeoff position. We're gonna set all engines to 1500. I'm pretty close to 1500 RPM now, but oh, I've got the throttles locked. Yes. A little low. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be in the shaking zone. That's pretty good. So number 2 and number 3 engine move master lever to high pitch. That's fine. And we're just checking our feathering buttons here. That's engine 1. Pull to unfeather. Here comes engine 2. Appears to be working. Engine 3. A button we'd hope we don't have to press. And engine 4. So, AFEs check generators and inverters. We're not going to need the supercharger, so we're not going to mess with that too much. Let's just do our traditional magneto check. See a drop. We see a drop, but not too big of a drop. A drop, but not too big of a drop. And a drop, but not too big of a drop. Okay. Water injection switches. If I can recall, I have those up here. Here they are. Let's turn them on and verify water pressure between 27 and 32 psi. It looks like it on all four, so that's good. And everything else looks to be okay. All right, gentlemen.
Boost pumps. Boost pumps on low. Fuel selector and crossfeed. Main tanks and crossfeed off. Autopilot and carb heat. Off and cold. Hydraulic system. Down, forward, pressure and quantity checked. Okay. Flaps 20. Flaps set 20. Windows and turbine. Closed and on. Controls. Gas block released. Free. Detonator. On. Mixture and cowl flaps. Reach unlocked. Set. Transponder. On. Landing lights.
Getting a little nervous here. Excited for takeoff.
Extended and on.
So to review what we're going to be doing off the runway, we're going to be taking off, flying runway heading until we pick up the Oceanside VOR, heading in the direction of, I'm going to check out the 346 radial inbound to 34, 345, 346. But that's of course not the right gauge. All right, are we ready to go? All right, let's give it a shot. We're gonna be doing a wet takeoff today. And again, just reviewing what we gotta do. It's the closed windows and doors. All the way, please. So we're going to wait for them to set full power. Once they say full power set, we're going to release the brakes and roll out. Once we hit 100 knots, we're going to be pulling back. The airplane should want to fly. We're going to gently let it fly off. We're going to go runway heading again until we intercept that that radial inbound to Oceanside. If we get turned around, if we get lost, if something happens, we're going to make direct for that VOR, for the Oceanside VOR, which should be found on 115.3. If for whatever reason we need to return to the field, we lose 2 engines simultaneously, wouldn't be the first time. We will we'll evaluate that. Oceanside, just verifying that is 115.3, yes. Hopefully we pick it up in the air. We're going to roll out onto the runway here. Runway 27. Thank you all for coming along. If you're just joining us, we are departing for Los Angeles on United Mainliner Flight 651. A flight from the 1959 flight schedule on the Pacific Coast kind of line between San Diego and some flights going as far as Vancouver, British Columbia. All right, we're lined up here. Let's get going.
Water injection. On. 30 inches stabilize. 30 inches stabilize.
Engine looks good.
Stabilized. Cal flaps. Cal flaps. Cal flaps set. Full power, please. Going full power.
We should now set 59.5. Which is a lot of manifold pressure.
Full power set.
Brakes away, we're rolling. Airspeed's alive. And it's actually deceptively quick to get up to 80 knots. I mean, just like that. We're at 80 knots. We've got a nice headwind. There's 100 knots. We'll just start suggesting to the aircraft that it may be time to go flying. Just give it a little nudge. And keep it positive and let the speed build up a little bit.
Positive rate, gear up. Gear selected up.
I wonder what the minimum climb rate required here is.
Gear up, lights out, flaps up. Flaps going up.
Speed's looking healthy. Climbing for 165. Gonna buzz these houses here.
VTOL power. Setting meter power, 48 inches, 2600 RPM.
Got speed, so let's just pull back a little bit. We can climb out a little aggressively now that we've the speed made. Now, understanding that there's going to be a loss of power. We've got the VOR now.
Meter power set. Climb power. Setting climb power. Climb power set. After takeoff checklist, please.
Alright, so we're in the air. We've gone flying at least a little bit.
After takeoff checks complete.
Those are after takeoff checks. We've got the VOR. Life is good at the moment. So it'll be a right-hand turn as soon as we start to see those needles move. Now I need to focus on keeping... Ooh, not that much trim. That's very sensitive. Okay. So now, let's... Oops. Get that on, and we'll just let auto take care of it. Just 1,000 feet per minute. Again, we're climbing up to 6,000 feet today for our cruise. It's a short half-hour flight to Los Angeles if things get a little hairy. If not, we should be able to beat that. Well, temps are still in the yellow. They're still just... That's getting... it actually looks okay on my gauges, so I'm not going to worry about it. Climb out a little aggressive now. And here come the needles. So all I'm going to do now is once it's kind of close... I'm going to try and let it smoothly capture the localizer, or the radial, I should say, without a big annoying turn to the left first. So hopefully the plane's pretty happy with where we are. I guess my question is, did I pull the levers right? Yeah, it's on. So that right there is about where we want to be. I think we'd be starting a turn, but I don't know. Perhaps not. Hasn't captured it. We'll do it ourselves. Maybe we're at too steep of an angle to it. And you can see we got 25 DME to Oceanside. So that's pretty good. We can point ourselves in that direction. Just level it off a bit. Climbing through 4,000 feet now. That's 4,500. We can even bring it down a little bit. And then into LA. Let's see what the real world is doing in LA real quick. Not that it's super relevant. We should probably plan to land west, in case I get a curveball. It looks like LA is an E-stop. So they do have a wind 18190, so we'll take east. We can be... we're not a big turbojet. We're not going to hurt our pride. So let's pick out a runway for LA. 6 right or 7 left is what I'm going to want. Here on the climb out, let's see if locomotives will also, hope that'll capture now. Doesn't appear to be. Am I doing something wrong? Just doesn't like it. I don't know. Do a little right turn to get back towards that. And then what did I say? 6 right would be good. Or 7. 7 left, I think, would be best because we're going to go. Maybe 7 right. So maybe any runway. And here comes 6,000 feet now. There we go. We'll let the speed build up, and then we'll hit cruise power. All right. So thank you all for coming along tonight. If you are just joining us, we are on our way to Los Angeles International Airport from San Diego, operating United Flight 651. Service continuing to San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, and possibly Vancouver here as we fly the Pacific Coast Trails, part of our newest series, while flying old timetables in old airplanes. That's the localizer. That looks pretty good right there. I would have hoped that they would not have turned the no smoking sign on, Chris. It's the 50s. Can't believe we would have such a thing. But let me take. Looks like that. Yeah. Okay. Well, it comes with the emergency lights, Chris. So I don't know. I see why they turned it on for the emergency portion, because we do have a bit of a reputation in that department after the Jamaica flight. But now that we're in the air safely, we can go ahead and turn that off, and you can smoke to your heart's content. Not that, of course, VFR condones smoking in any way. But of course, the Mainliner. Mainliner flights are from a different age. So no smoking sign is off. You are free to smoke, but we'll take the seatbelt sign off now too. Now that we're in the cruise, and we'll go to cruise checks. 10 miles to Oceanside. And reviewing for my goldfish brain, what are we gonna do once we get to Oceanside? Well, we're gonna turn left, and we're gonna pick up the Victor 23 Airway, which, while technically correct, is not super helpful. I need to fly heading 301 next.
Cruise power is set.
And do we have that on 2 right now? We do. And so, LAX. Let's talk LAX. LAX is an airport in Los Angeles. And where do we... So I guess it's going to depend on where we're dumping the passengers, where we want to land. And since we're our own ATC, the world's our oyster. I was thinking we have 7.5 miles to figure this out. Do we want to go down to one of the hangars or one of the FBOs on the south side? Maybe the remote gates, or do we just go to the terminal here, park up in the middle? Let's go to the terminal, park up in the middle. So we'll plan for... Let's plan... I'm just going to call it... We'll plan for 6 right. We'll plan for the ILS for 6 right. And that gives us, or what we... That gives us what we need, the information that we need. That puts us in an ILS frequency of 111.7. And we'll vector ourselves in here onto final. We could also go to the south side. There's too many. I've got analysis by paralysis. Paralysis by analysis here. 7 left. Would probably be more appropriate because we're coming from the south. You still got to go out to Exeter. Apply the procedure. So right. Yeah, I mean, it's the same. Okay. So, I got 6 right pinned. We'll do 6 right and call it at LAX. 2 miles oceanside. Let's go ahead and change our localizer. Let's change our radial here. We want 301. And that's going to be a slight left-hand turn. So we'll just go ahead and start that off. And we'll aim to put ourselves heading 301 and then work it out from there. Here comes the radial. There goes the radial. This should take us nicely up the coast. And you're just so close in that it's going to be kind of hard to get it perfect. But that's pretty good. That'll do for the moment. So we're in the air, no smoking signs are off. We're at 6,000 feet. Everything else looks pretty good. Let's see if we can... Let's see if we can pick up a cabin view. Yeah, that's not a super helpful view. Can I get back here? Oh, no, they haven't updated it. And I haven't updated it. Shame on me. So I guess we're back stuck with the F3 wing views. That's not too bad, though. So we're well on our way. Our next, this leg, on the Victor 23 is 45.6 miles. So that shouldn't take us very much time at all, about 10 minutes. So I'm going to pop out, grab a quick drink. I'll be right back. All right. So watching the Pacific Coast fly by. From Oceanside, so we're passing all sorts of places. but in particular, VFR charts would be more helpful. We are well on our way. About 15 miles. We are a little off. So let's flip over to the 115.7 VOR here and go pick that up. Just a little bit off. But as long as we stay up the coast, we should be fine. So then our next stop is Seal Beach. And then from Seal Beach, I'm going to give ourselves a little bit of a vector. We'll vector ourselves around. And we will basically fly out until we pick up the ILS out in for LA. Which we can tune in at this point, and it will be 111.7. 111.7. And I can hang out on nav too. We can also pick up the, if we're interested, the LAX VOR 113.6. And we can use that to kind of keep track of where the airport is relative to ourselves. So thank you all for coming along, for just joining us. We are well on our way to Los Angeles here for United Flight 651 service to Los Angeles, and then continuing on to San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, and Vancouver. That'll probably be in the next leg or in the next session. This might be a two-parter, maybe a three. It depends on where we get to. But I am hoping to make the jump up to San Francisco tonight, at least. So that'll involve a relatively quick turn at San Francisco. Now, this particular flight, the flight that we're following, United Flight 651, I just said it, didn't actually, would have done the passengers if you had booked it with, I think they had a connection on this route. But you're looking at probably a half-hour turn for these flights in LA to coming into LA and then departing for San Francisco. They flew a bunch of them. We'll pull up the, in case you weren't here at the beginning of the stream. I got 21 miles. I'm good. That's pretty good too. Let's get that turning. But anyway, this is the timeline. This is the timetables that we're following. As United 651 is here, this one, which covers most of the main bases, a lot of the smaller airports on this list, including places like Monterey, Salinas, Modesto, Stockton, Medford, Eugene. A lot of them aren't served by big DC-6s. Some of them, I think, do. But most of them are Convairs and stuff like that. Probably some DC-3s. But so this is what we're following. We're United 651 over here. We're doing the 1040 to 1124 Los Angeles. San Diego to Los Angeles, and then we depart Los Angeles for San Francisco with an arrival at 1:40 p.m. But you can see they did a lot of flights. You know, this LA to San Francisco flight was a common one, but you also had some others leaving. And this is the northbound schedule. They have another one for southbound in all the different directions too. 683 could be one too. So yeah. 16 miles now. Always gotta get the next screenshot. That's perfect. And then, of course, that angle too. And then you're good for a whole series. It is a good looking plane though. As always. You can see Los Angeles starting to sprawl out in front of us. You want to pick out where LAX is. I think it's right there on the water. But that's it. That's the Mainliner. $10 miles now. We're a little off to the right, but that is okay. And then we'll vector ourselves out a little bit. Now, if we did want to fly directly to something, let's get something up. So the ILS into that. ADAS puts us 10 miles from that. Yeah, it must have been something. Must have been something else. But I don't really want to go out to 20 DME. And that's a radar fix anyway, so I'm not really working about that. That's 110 miles from Santa Monica. So I'm just going to punch that into Sky Vector and figure out what that should be. Otis. So we're going to go we're going to fly heading 271 off this once we pass Oceanside. Or once we pass Seal Beach, I should say. We're coming up on the Seal Beach VOR. Once we pass that, we'll make a left-hand turn heading 271, and that will point us into the direction of the localizer. And then go. We're not going all the way out to the initial approach fix. I'm going to do a little hack job of ATC here and clear myself, but... But yeah, must have been something else. Must have been something else to fly back then. But also still probably a little bit of a pain. Some things do stay the same. That's 4 miles now. We're not in localizer mode on the gyro palette, so that's fine. And then yeah, we got 30 miles. We've got 30 miles and probably, what is this, 3,600 feet at that, so we do have 30 miles to drop 2,400 feet. And in fact, we can go ahead and start that turn now. Let's go 270, will get us close enough. And we'll start a somewhat gentle left turn. Go approximately heading 271. You see the big patch of tan out there is LAX. And the other thing that we're going to do is start our descent. Well, no, that should go down. That shouldn't be going up. Okay, I may be doing too much right now. Let's level it off this way. Radial's coming in. That's the other thing in this thing. We probably have to do one thing at a time. One thing at a time. I'm going to go ahead and run descent checks because I don't really want any extra speed coming down. It may be a little hairy.
26 inches set. Descent checklist, please. Altimeters and flight instruments cross-checked. Seatbelt signs on. On. Engine blow is low. Low. Descent checks are complete.
That's good. We have a floor of 3,600 feet. According to the procedure. But I think I'll clear us down to 3,000. just to make it a little easier. Capture that glide slope. Alright, let's keep going downhill. Come on. I feel like my gyropilot is not really responding to me. So let's try that. That gets us a little better, yeah. So dropping for 3,000. Aiming for heading about 270. We are on our way down to land in Los Angeles. Los Angeles International Airport. LAX. Now, I will confess that I am not familiar with the history of Los Angeles area airports. So I don't know. I think it was the LAX, the original LA International Airport. Or is it newer? I don't know what would have been the airport in the 50s. Some of them, like New York, gets pretty complicated. Let's keep that coming down. Then we'll go ahead and bleed some speed. And bring it down. Now, San Francisco will get a little higher. We'll have a little bit more of a cruise. And that'll be alright. We do have the airport in sight, so that's a good start. And the localizer, I set it 111.7. So we'll track Oceanside out a little bit more. My calculations, with air quotes, for SkyVector say we should be 31 miles from Oceanside when we're picking up the localizer. Or when we're intersecting the localizer, I should say. So if we drop down to 3,000 and make a right and turn hot on it, that'll be fine. But I think we'll just basically hold this heading. And then we'll go left. Maybe about 25 miles until we're satisfied with the speed, and then we'll commit. In fact, now looks okay. What is the runway heading? It's the 6 and 2.4s, 2.5s, at a heading of 251. So we'll turn left 2.5. Left 250. Which we're already almost there. That's looking pretty good. Left 250, and that is 3,000 feet there. So we're looking good. Let's let the speed come back. And then really, once we're under 200, we'll ask guys to start running in range. Once we have in range, we will turn hot on LAX. Coming in for runway 6 right, and we're just going to park it in front of one of the terminals and offload our passengers. We'll play this as a period piece and not drop them at an FBO. Like if we were doing modern DC-6 ups, we'd drop them probably at the FBO, but because we're not on VATSIM or anything, we'll just kind of put it neatly in the middle somewhere. Alright, I'm also going to go with the localizer now, because that's what's going to save us here in a minute. Now we're 10 DME from there. We're below 200 knots. Let's run in range.
Turbine. Normal. Fuel booster pumps. On low. Fuel tank selectors. Mains on, crossfeed off. Hydraulic bypass valve. Down. No smoking signs. On. In-range checks complete.
All right. 12 miles now. We'll turn. What's our speed looking like? We're at about 1.80 knots. 180 is pretty good, and a turn will help us bleed some of that. So let's make a right-hand turn, heading 90 degrees from whatever we're at, which should be about 3.4.
Flaps 20. Setting flaps 20.
Speed's looking good. And I'll turn even in just a little bit is fine.
Mixtures rich, please. Auto rich.
And we do have visual at the airport, so we can kind of go off that. Well, not kind of. We will go off
Gear
that.
up and down, please. Gear up and down.
No kind of about it. So there's LAX. Altitude still 3,000. Gear's coming down. Speed's coming down.
Gear down and locked. 3 greens. Props.
Hope I have flaps set up.
2,500 RPM.
Flaps decrease. Yeah, it looks like it is.
2,500 RPM set. Cal flaps. Plus 3 degrees. Cal flaps set. ADI. ADI off. ADI is off. Failing lights. Speed good. Extending lights. Lights extended and on. Carbine. Carbine cold. Set cold. Before landing checks complete.
Alright, good work, boys. We're still a ways from the airport, but we're going to call ourselves the only traffic, so let's turn in a little bit. Kind of set up an optimal intercept for the glide slope. And then once we're getting that, it's, once we start to get the glide slope, we'll call that, oh wow, we're really turning. See, once you get down slow like this, it gets tricky. So I'm going to go ahead and take power. Just, we'll bump the throttles forward a bit. Just so we have some maneuvering. No, this isn't going to work. Gyropod off. Sorry, Gyropod, I asked you to do too much. I did. I asked you to do too much. So we are low and slow, and this isn't good. So let's give some nose forward and gain some airspeed back. Almost did it again, see? Just like that. That's what I get for... I'm flying it like a modern airliner. I'm trying to do 3 things at once. We're down at 2,000 feet now, which isn't really where I wanted to be, but that's all right. 120 knots. We are dirty. And we really just need to keep this thing with some speed so that we can get into the airport. LAX is still a ways out. 10 DME. That feels like a really long 10 DME when things are kind of going sideways. Alright, so we've got some speed again. Let's keep it at 140 or so. And I think that's another thing, is just... Yeah, we want to fly the DC-6 by the playbook, but you can also get yourself into trouble that way, especially if you don't respond to issues. And crash, like I have done. So you still have to pilot the airplane. That's 2,000. I'd like to stay above 2,000 if we could until pretty short final. 6 right. Just keep that up. Not messing with props or anything like that. This is also some of the stuff that just, you know, kind of atrophies when you haven't flown a plane like this for a while. Because there's kind of this whole art of getting yourself in the right position. It's the same with a big jet, to be honest. right? You have to know when in the 737 or the CRJ or A320 you got to start putting out speed brakes and get serious about slowing down. Let's get a little more power going. Because we're still just losing a bit of altitude. And if we need to bring flaps up, we can. If we need to bring gear up, we can. We're just going to control our own destinies in this regard. And the runway's coming in. We're still about 7 miles away. So what I'm actually going to do... This is kind of a time where maybe it would be good to have more granular control over the flight, because maybe we leave gear in for now, and then once we're turning final, gear can come out. Which is what I would, again, which is what you would do in any other airplane. For the most part, I would. For an approach like this. So I do find that that's a trap I fall into with this plane, is trying to fly it by the numbers and it not really working, but you don't go against the numbers until it's too late. And that leads to problems. Alright, so now let's bring gear down. We have flaps 20. We'll bring it back to 100 BMEP. Give it flaps 30. And heck, we can even at this point give it a little bit of flaps 40 as we try to come down. Just stabilize. We don't want to balloon, lose a bunch of speed. We don't want our airspeed to die on final. And we're already down at 100 knots, which is kind of uncomfortable for me. And that's not because of our descent rate, which is... Let's just bump up a little bit. I'll take a little more power if you can give it to me. As we make our approach. And again, I'm trying not to pull the nose up too much, because again, we're kind of on a little bit of the hairy edge here with as regards speed. So you just kind of want it to fall naturally, but we just descend so quickly. Just a skosh more power would make me feel a little better. And here we go. So if you're just joining us, you're joining us at an opportune time. We haven't landed in the Pacific yet. There's a decent chance we make dry land. But whether or not that ends well or poorly is to be determined. Alright, let's finish the back and forth. That's flaps 40. That should be our flap setting. I've got a little bit more than the recommended power in. We can start to ease that back now that we've kind of got the runway made. We do have enough runway to work with. We have reversers set up. If we do need to reverse, I've got one switch on my throttles that we will throw. And from there we will go ahead. For all that drama, glide slope's actually looking pretty good. Our left-right lineup isn't great. But the glide slope looks okay. We're getting a little low now. Let's keep it coming up. And I'm in a weird angle too, aren't I? Just bump up a little bit. There's too much speed here on final. Let's see, I'm just feeling very unsettled. So the lineup kind of sucks. We're a little fast, but all in all, I think we're going to be all right. So where's all this? Just settle down. A bit of crosswind here. So that's not going to help us. We'll take the second landing too. Yeah, so that crosswind's kind of nasty. And again, it's just one of those things, like an 8 or 9, 10 knot crosswind doesn't feel like that much in a 737, but you get into DC-6 land and it kind of sucks. So all in all, that's pretty good. Throw the brakes on and vacate the runway. And we will taxi via, looks like Whiskey Delta, something to the ramp.
After landing checks complete.
Thanks, guys. All right, so we made it successfully. We got 2 landings for the price of 1. And it wasn't connected to my simulator in SimTweaker Pro, so we won't even know. All right, let's taxi it on in. Oops. No wonder. So we'll taxi onto the gate up here between Terminal 1 and 2. We will offload our passengers and prepare for San Francisco. So we have a little bit of flight planning to do. So we will go ahead and cut the engines. So I need to go one more over to get to 1 and 2. So thank you all for coming along. Not too bad. Yeah, well, I felt, you know, I definitely felt that crosswind and didn't recognize it. In my head, 190 was a lot more in line with the runway than it was. So I didn't see until the windsock was kind of perpendicular. And sometimes, yeah, I guess it's partly the wind. But man, sometimes it's just, you don't have a lot of power on final. It feels like. And I don't know what that is. So you gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. We want to do more. Basically all our maneuvering possible and be lined up before we go. Before landing. Is the lesson I'm taking from this. Oh yeah, we'll get a nice view of the terminal too here. Or, I don't know what that is. Again, not an LAX aficionado, but deboarding with a view. And they would deboard on the right side? No, they'd be on the left. So we'll kind of pull in here and pull the stairs and then let them off. Brakes.
Parking brake is set. Cut entrance.
All right. Lots of switch clicking to do here. But welcome to LA, everybody. Welcome to Los Angeles, City of Angels, where we just visited, actually, as part of Transcon 22. But we're back again in our mainliner. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What's going on? Didn't like that I shut the engine down. It is, isn't it? Get all those pesky big jets out of the way. It does help on final too. All right, so let's get started with our next leg, which is going to be San Francisco, California. They build us about an hour and 40-minute flight, so we'll see. We may test out some other ways of getting it done. But let's go to our handy tablet. So, we are at LAX, and we need to go to San Francisco. That's a decent starting point. We are here. We need to go out to here, SFO. And let's check out our world below charts. We can go direct to the San Francisco VOR if we want to. And we can work we can work that way. So we're at Los Angeles now. We'll probably take off to the west out over the ocean. And I think we'll pick up at Point Mugu or the Ventura VOR here. And then I guess we can pick up Victor 25. Looks pretty good. This is, you know, obviously, maybe it goes without saying, but there's no historical precedent for the routes I'm picking. This is a Pacific Coast run. So we might as well do that. Yeah. So that's Victor 25. And that would take us up to Paso Robles. And then up to Salinas. And then we're getting pretty close. San Francisco, Victor 35. To this intersection here. Then Victor 25. The Woodside and San Francisco would be the final leg of the trip. Something like that. Probably good enough for our purposes for now. A few VORs to tune. Should keep us nice and busy. I don't think there's really a long stage length in there either. It's all 50, 80, 76 miles. And then a couple 20s once we get in there. Let's check weather. Weather in San Francisco at the moment. Wind calm, 10 mile visibility, few clouds, 20,000. 16 Cs, altimeter 3014. So, I don't know, again, I'm not familiar with SFO. What would they be doing? So it looks like they're departing on these runways. Maybe landing this way based on this airplane. We'll figure it out as we get in. But yeah, so that's a route we can take. Also gonna hit this a little bit. And that'll work. All right, so we've got the red carpet rolled out for us here at LAX. We've got our passengers deboarding. Let me just take a quick breather and we'll get on our way for San Francisco. Better, it's getting there. Okay, so the first things that we're gonna have to do, let's
Cockpit pre-flight.
get our guys going again. I just want the radios. I'm just gonna make a list of the VRs we're gonna be tracking.
Completed. Voice recorder. Tested. Oil coolers and cow flaps. Auto and position. Fuel and fluids. Checked.
So we're going to the Ventura VOR.
Set. Manifold and duct pressure.
On
Checked.
108.2.
Radios.
It says that's the Ventura 8. Departure at LAX.
Checked.
Doors and hatches.
So the Ventura 8 is, yeah, fly runway heading and then vector for the Ventura VOR. That's appropriate. That's what we're going to do.
Closed.
And then from Ventura, we're on Victor 25 the rest of the way.
Gear pins.
Removed. 3 on board.
Seat belts and pedals.
Adjusted.
Which is Ventura
Throttles.
289 radial
Propellers.
to San Marcos.
Forward and 3. Before start checks complete.
Start engines.
San Marcos 315. To Paso Robles. One 4.3. Just to save my brain a little bit in flight. And then that's one. No. That is heading 306 to Salinas, Sierra November Sierra. Yeah, 117.3. And then that 293 outbound. Bound for Santee, which is going to be, let's see, 29 DME. To pick up the 141 outbound Woodside. OSI 113.9 and 141 outbound, which is 325 inbound. Okay, that'll get us start. Get on our way. We are ready for engine start, as the guys have told me both. Pump 3. Let's check fuel pressure. We've got it. Let me see if we've wrecked an engine yet. Hey, we have not.
Three, 6, 9, 12,
13. Mixtures. Some fuel would help the engine start, wouldn't it? All right, let's try it again. Bit of a false start.
3, 6, 9, 12,
Come on, catch. All right. Doesn't sound convincing enough. I need, want to really hear it. Man Flights, welcome aboard. Thanks for coming along. Engine 4, both. Check fuel pressure. Good. Check mixtures. Good. Started up. We are just finishing our turn here at Los Angeles International Airport.
3,
We are United Flight 651 bound for San Francisco.
6, 9,
Boost prime and pray. I feel like it takes longer every time. So yeah, we're doing DC-6 Mainliner ops. Flying a classic airline schedule from 1959. This would be the flight, parts of the flight, that that flight would have taken, United 651, as of April of 1959. Kind of the golden age of DC-3 flying. Let's check fuel pressure. Fuel pressure's good. Start. We're not going to do the full run up here.
3,
We should be pretty warm. Everything should be pretty good.
9, 12,
Boost prime and gray. Let's see, what's our minimum monitor altitude? 4,000. 4,000, 5,000 feet. So that's not really a factor. We're talking 6,000 that way. Okay. I think we'll go just basically below supercharger required levels, because it isn't that long of a flight, but it is more of a real flight than San Francisco to San Diego to Los Angeles is. That's about a 25-minute flight, really. Oh, good. Fuel pressure. She's got high RPMs, but that's okay. Okay, engine 1.
3, 6, 9, 12,
Come on, engine 1. Alright. Engine 3 is the only kind of outlier in terms of RPM. That's alright. We'll just resync everything real quick, just in case that matters. They should all kind of rubber in a little bit. Alright. Engines are started. After start checklist, please.
Start selected. Boost pumps.
off and off,
Battery switch.
plane battery,
Generators and inverters.
checked and on,
Emergency lights.
armed,
Ground power.
removed. After start checks complete.
Good after start checks. We're going to go out the way we came in. We went out 6 right. We came in 6 right, so we'll go out on 6 right. And that'll mean basically flying heading 251 and then making a left-hand turn off the runway direct to the Victor Tango uniform VOR. Parking brakes off. Let's roll. So again, in the real life, they would have done probably a 40-minute turn here and then went on. It's not quite the San Francisco to Oakland flight, which is like a 20-minute turn. I don't know if they'd shut the engines down for that. I don't know. We're going to taxi here via, it looks like Delta, or no, it looks like Echo, I should say. Taxiing via Echo to the runway. And the latest weather, LA, still 190, 7 knots, gusting 15. So in fact, I might prefer, well, let's stop here because I might prefer real life LAX is landing west. However, that doesn't work very well for us. So what are my runway options? 6 has about a 3-knot crosswind. Or 3-knot headwind. Well, I guess it's just us, right? So we could take the 2-4s. We could take 2-4 left. I think that's slightly more favorable to us. Let me loop around. That's why I didn't do this on VATSIM, because we're still kind of remembering that, hey, we're not a big jet, and while weather does matter, we need to kind of maximize our opportunities. We'll head out to 24 left, and that is a simpler departure anyway. Since LA, we'll just ask the tower to turn the airport around for us. Go the other direction. Well, again, I'm sure they didn't see it quite the volume they did. They do now, certainly. So it's kind of a whole different ballgame. And that initial, we're just going to go direct to that VOR, and then it's going to be 289 radial outbounds. That's 29, looks like 29 minus a little bit. Before takeoff checks, please, gentlemen.
Boost pumps on low. Fuel selector and crossfeed. Main tanks and crossfeed off. Autopilot and carb heat. Off and cold. Hydraulic system. Down, forward, pressure and
We get this to close all the way.
Flaps 20.
That'll work. All right, cool.
Flaps set 20. Windows and turbine. Closed and on. Controls. Gust lock released. Free. Detonator. On. Mixture and cowl flaps. Reach unlocked. Set. Transponder. On. Landing lights. Extended and on. Before takeoff checks complete.
All right, we're ready to go. This is going to be another... Well, let me check my weight and balance. What we got heavier? 99,000 gross weight. I don't remember taking off. I thought we were at like 95 when we took off. Either way, we have plenty of pass. We have plenty of fuel. We loaded on some more junk. But we're still pretty heavy, so it'll be a wet takeoff today. We're going to line up here on runway 24 left. Now, if we have an issue on takeoff, if we lose an engine, we're going to continue direct to the Ventura VOR, and we'll evaluate from there. If we lose two at the same time, we will figure it out. Otherwise, it looks like we're ditching in the Pacific. Anything else, we'll aim to return to the field, turning right, and make kind of a wide downwind to land back here on 2-4. Takeoff procedure is going to be, we're going to ask the guys to put full power on, wet takeoff, water injection. We're going to hold the brakes on until we get here, full power set. Then we're going to let it roll, and at 100 knots, we're going to use our yoke to convince the airplane to go flying ever so gently. Now, on departure, we're going to fly runway heading until we pick up the Ventura VOR, and this will be a right turn direct to it. Then we'll pick up the Victor 25 airway. Out. Again, we're looking for 165 on the speed on the climb out. So we're going to kind of adjust our pitch till we get 165, and once we're comfortable there, we can start to talk about gyro pilot and cranking it in. We're looking for 59.5 inches of manifold pressure. Top of the yellow arc. And the water injection lights should go on. Water pressure should be between 27 and 32 is what the manual says.
Full power set.
And that's my cue. Rolling. Airspeed's alive. Maintain center line. Comes 80 knots. There's about 100. Remember, we have that crosswind coming from the right. that kind of made landing an adventure. And the plane's not going to take too much convincing today. Be careful, it is gusty. And again, we're just going to kind of make sure we're in the positive climb rate
Gear selected up.
and make sure that speed keeps coming up. So I don't want to be so climbing so fast that I don't get any airspeed. If anything,
Gear up, lights out.
500 feet per minute is great as long as the
Lights up.
airspeed's increasing.
Flaps going up.
Holding on, I didn't set my radios. To 10, that's not right, 108.2.
Meter power.
Setting meter power, 48 inches, 2600 RPM.
Maybe it is, wow, 108.2. I thought that was a localizer reserve frequency. Again, we're going to aim for 165. We've got the Ventura VOR now.
Meter power set.
Climb power.
Setting climb power.
We're going to try and get to 165 and direct to that VOR. Speed keep coming up. And here we go.
Climb power set.
I'm afraid to use the trim because it's been kind of aggressive. I need to readjust the trim wheel a little bit. That's okay.
After takeoff checks complete.
Alright, so we're pointing towards Ventura. Speed's good. 160 knots. We're going to climb on out. Let's get gyropilot going. And let's manage the airplane now. Speed's pretty good. Let's aim for 100 or 1,000 feet per minute on the climb. If we can manage it. Not really anymore, though. And again, I'm going to say 14,000 feet for our cruise altitude today. Keep us kind of below the supercharger point we're going to be needing to go to high blower, but gets us up, gets us some efficiency from being high. And losing, I don't know why we're losing pitch now. So thanks for coming along, everybody. If you're just joining us, we've departed Los Angeles International Airport, second leg of our flight today. Flight United 651, service to San Francisco, and then continuing on to Portland and Seattle later. What will be this afternoon, but next stream probably. Yeah, let's just keep it coming up, keep climbing. We're just getting a little bit of wobbling here. I don't know why. Why it doesn't really want to climb out aggressively. Ideally, we'd be at 5,000 feet or so here. At 6,000, really. We're about 29 miles away, so that makes a decent amount of sense. Let's hold it here. So yeah, I've been doing some Propliner flying lately. Figured we'd get back into DC-6 because those are always fun streams, regardless of our proficiency. But I've been flying the DC-3 a little bit too. I think we want to get that on stream at some point. That's one that's taken me a while to get into. I had to sit down with it, get all the mods installed, figure out. I mean, because it's kind of it's a finicky plane. Start sequence is finicky, the mods change stuff, and it takes a little bit of figuring sometimes. But once you get it going, it's a lot of fun. And so now, I mean, we've got kind of a pretty good stable of classic twin engine airplanes. We really do. Alright, it should be turning left. Come on, gyropilot mode, am I crazy? There's my gyropilot going in up. That's 4,500 feet we're climbing through. And interesting, I don't know what's wrong here. That's all on. No, I haven't messed with anything there. That's on. So I don't really get it. Don't really get why we're having these gyropilot issues. There it goes. Just a little left turn to get there. Hey, Mr. Sonic, come here. The freight co-pilot has come in, so we got the first officer on board now. The first officer wants to hang out on the floor, so that's cool. Okay, so that's good. That's looking alright. And now we're climbing out something fierce. 13 miles to Ventura. And then it should be a slight right to 289. We'll just keep the climb going. So we're 2 for 2 getting in the air. That's a good start. Let's go get them. A little bit bumpy. Hopefully we have the seatbelt signs on, but we'll let people smoke. That's fine. And our next VR is going to be, yeah, I don't know. I can't pick them out of the lineup. Ventura, San Marcos, 114.9. I'm 8 miles out. Climbing through 7,000 feet. So this does mean we're flying a real descent into San Francisco. Should be fun. Oh man. We're bouncing around a bit. Must be the gusty winds. Doing a number on us. Again, it should just be a minor correction. That's all good. We're on nav. We're not doing anything funky with the nav mode. I don't think so. It's a little bumpy climb out here. Flying up the California coast today for San Francisco. Yeah, and out here you can see just how much we're getting bounced around. But aiming for 14,000 feet, which will be our cruise altitude for this flight. We are flying United Flight 651. Service to San Francisco and beyond. About 2 miles now. Looks like we've actually passed it. Which is pretty good. So now we're going to be looking for, pick up that radial too. 89 outbound. Coming up on 9,000 feet. And I guess we're getting bumped around by the wind, but we're just getting a lot of fluctuation in the rate of climb. We're getting here. I mean, it's bouncing up between 1,500 feet per minute and 0. I'm half tempted to take over myself. So yeah, gyropod just hasn't, I don't know, I can't get localizer mode to work either. That's just a little odd. Seems to be mostly working, but just in a couple ways not. Just gonna turn a little right to chase that needle. Pick up the Victor 25 airway, which is basically gonna take us all the way to San Francisco. And there it went again. Passing 10,000 feet. Hope y'all are having good night. Enjoying your flying, wherever you may or may not be flying to. Thanks for hanging out with us. Here we go again. Another little dive. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me take control. Airplane. Let's see if there's a physical reason this is happening and not just a sim one. We also need to start thinking about just continuing. Well, we're not quite that high yet. And taking care of it. I can hold it pretty steady. So I'm inclined to believe it's a gyro pilot. We'll have to get that into maintenance. And here comes that radial, and then we're looking at about, this is not a particularly long leg, only about 42 miles. So at about 20, we'll flip over to San Marcos. that one up. Well, I guess I am doing it because I wasn't paying attention. That's 12,000 feet there. And so I think we'll just get it, point in the right direction at the right altitude, and let the gyro pilot keep it from here on out. Out of LA, bound for San Francisco. Beautiful day for flying, beautiful weather. I know it's been rainy, uncharacteristically. In kind of the California area, some flooding I've seen. It's crazy. So glad all that. Glad we're not fighting that weather today. Right about on the localizer, or on the right about on the radial now, and climbing through about 13,000 feet. That's a good start. Keeping the climb going. And once we get the gyro pilot going, we'll take a look at the scenery. I do need to do the cabin mod so I can get us some wing views from inside the cabin. Add it to the to-do list. There's 13.5. Comes 14,000. We're pretty good. Let's let the gyro pilot keep us there and get the speed up. One of the other projects working on is contemplating a not a computer build, but a computer update for this sim and DCS. Basically, current system is pretty good. It's run pretty well, all things considered. A Ryzen 3700X and an RTX 3070. Obviously, graphics cards are crazy right now, still, and probably will be forever. So the 3070 has served well. I'm not really looking to replace that, but I am looking to get the Ryzen 5800X 3D, which, as far as I can tell, should be a drop-in upgrade for me. I have to flash the BIOS. So I'm leaning that way. I mean, I guess the eternal debate is, when do you upgrade the system as it is, or when do you save, or should you just save that money for a new system in 2 or 3 years? So whatever this is, it's kind of like a what aircraft carriers get, a midlife service extension, a midlife update. Because I've had this computer for 3 years now, or so. I think it was right around COVID times that I ordered all this and built this one. We can flip our VOR over. We're 31 miles now. We're a little close. 114.9 is San Marcos. And really, I should have it in here too. 108.2. I'll put that on nav too. Everything else looks good. 10 miles. And we're pointing in. Janet, we're off to the right a little bit. Or off to the left a little bit. Let's bring it right. So anyway, I'm just, I've heard good things about it. But I also wonder with, Microsoft Flight Simulator is temperamental. So you could drop $400 to get still a Suttery sim. So I think it's hard to quantify, especially with the sim and all the other crap that I have installed in it. Hard to tell exactly what kind of gains you might get. But I think if it increases smoothness, especially when streaming, that would be beneficial. So I think that would be good. And I think I'd put in a new cooling system. I don't think I need a new power supply. But I might max out the RAM. More for DCS than this, because DCS is a RAM hog. Especially on the older maps. So that's the debate. Do you make the best AM4 build you can make right now and hope that that lasts you another 3 years? Which, I mean, it should. I don't think we're expecting a generational leap in sim in that time. And especially since I like to fly the PMDG stuff, and their stuff is pretty, I mean, say what you want. I'm missing the radio. Say what you want about PMDG, but one of the underrated things is the performance of the 7.3. And this one's performance has actually gotten really good too. A lot better than it was on launch. Because I remember this one used to be tough. I totally messed that up. 4.7 miles. We're not going to chase it too much. We're on to the next one, which is going to be a right-hand turn, 315, heading 315. So that's 3-1, and there's a helpful little mark for 3. I just skip past it. 315. So we'll try that out. We're at 14,000 feet. We can go to cruise power.
Set cruise power, please. Setting cruise power.
Hanging out is, what airport are we looking at? Santa Barbara down there? Yeah, so that's Santa Barbara. Kilo Sierra Bravo Alpha Airport. And then is Luis Obispo up here? Or Obispo? I apologize to all the Californians. Alright, so let's make a left turn now. Try and grab that radial a little bit. We're off to the right a bit.
Cruise checks are complete.
Yes, keep that going. Let's level it off. Just call it slow, yeah. Yeah, exactly, Mike. Welcome aboard. Thanks for coming along. Now we're off to the left. We'll just kind of rough it in. I mean, generally, we're going to be heading this way. The way we're pointing, we're not making any weird turns. So Sierra Lima Oscar, that'll be up. Well, actually, we're not flying over that because that's by the Morro Bay VOR. So we'll be going up past it on our. It'll be on our left as we pass SLO to Paso Robles. They do have good names out in California. I'll give them that. Lots of good ones. Oh. Just fight. Let's stabilize a little bit. We'll bring it right, and once we're set up, we can take the smoke signs off, or the seatbelt signs off. Smoking signs are, of course, already off because we are in a DC-6. So let's try and put this at like 45 degrees. Here's turn. No, my transponder's on. That's good. Those AFEs, they think everything. So that's pretty good. We'll just let that radial come on in. This leg is 81 nautical miles, so let's get, I don't like the left turn it does again, back out. Let's get Paso Robles up on 114.3. And we'll just wait for that to come alive. And once it does, we know we're getting somewhere. Let me just double check that number. 315. I've got it at 315. Okay, yeah. All good. Thank you all for coming along, just joining us. We are United Flight 651, hanging out in our DC-6B, heading up to San Francisco, California. We departed Los Angeles about 20 minutes ago, and we are cruising. Cruising over the coast of California, doing the California leg. We departed San Diego this morning, heading up for the heading up for LAX, and we made it onto LAX. We did not get wet. No parts were bent, which is always good. Wait for this radio to come in. My intuition says I'm west, where I should be, but I guess not. Maybe? We're about 15 miles now from the Ventura VOR. Liner, Mainliner. Now I ought to pay attention while we're trying to pick up this radial. So I feel like I'm ending up way over the mountains. And I shouldn't be too far. There's the needles. Just coming in, so we'll make a left turn. About 315. Yeah, you don't see a ton of DC-6 streaming, do you, Michael? A lot of 737, a lot of A320. I think part of that's because it's harder to integrate into the greater VATSIMism. Not impossible, but harder. And yeah, there is only so many ways you can skin a two-liner stream. It does keep you active, DC-6 especially. DC-6 with radio navigation especially. The Scampers, welcome aboard. Good to see you. So some DC-6 action, some Propliner action here. Yeah, I have seen a lot of MD-82. Which is good. I don't feel like you saw... Well, it depends on where... I think people are digging into it. I think people who are sick of the 737 are finally digging into it. Or people who have flown the wings off the 7.3 and the A320. I've looked at picking it up, I just... It is expensive. But it looks really cool. Oh yeah, the 247. I like those planes, I do, and I think they're really interesting. The hard thing about them is they're so slow. The same thing with the Ju-52 is they're interesting to fly, but it's so hard to go anywhere. It's just and that's just part of how they're designed, which makes it kind of tricky from a content creation standpoint. It's tricky because you can't really, it's like I can fly from DC to Philadelphia maybe, and that's like a 2-hour stream. Which isn't bad, but you get a bad wind like we got on our stream, one we did with the 247, and it can stop you in your tracks. But it is a good plane. We'll have to fly it. I've got some designs on a, because I mean we really do have a really, I think at this point, I mean, I think we could, having a, like, I don't know how detailed of a steerman you can get, but having a detailed steerman would be good. But the one out there works fine. But we do kind of have a really good early modern, or early commercial aviation suite of airplanes to fly now. I mean, we've got the Ju-52, we've got the Boeing 247. We can now have a DC-3, which fills a big chunk of that. And that can basically bridge you to the DC-6. So you could foreseeably, I mean, you could do fly something like a Stearman or the Jenny or one of those old planes. You could do some 247 flying, then DC-3. Plus you also have the Beech Model 18 in there, which kind of fits in nicely with all those twin engine trainers and stuff. So like that segment of MSFS is pretty well filled out. As far as, like, you could fly a lot of the airplanes that someone who probably flew DC-6s in their life Right, so DC-6 captain probably flew a lot of those airplanes, or some of them at least did. And I'm sure a lot of them came up in the war too, but 35.7, we're looking for 40 miles. Yeah, I mean, we could, that's a good idea. Some small short island hops would be good. Yeah. The problem with, well, not a problem. The thing you also get with those old airplanes is visibility isn't great, so you do some of those things. So if you're, you're looking out the window, there's not as much to see, but that is a good idea. So some island hopping, that could be a stream. We can look at that. Let's see what kind of islands we can do. I mean, even Hawaii, you could probably even do some Hawaii stuff. Oh, big stutter. Big stutter. It's like, that's the kind of stuff. Does a new processor fix that? I don't know. Probably not. So yeah, French Polynesia, St. Martin, yeah. A lot of those could be good. Some Aegean Islands maybe in the 247. No one says we have to do live weather too. Yeah, I mean, and for the MD-80, it looks really good. I have really considered it. If I saw it 20% off, I'd probably pull the trigger. But I'm kind of torn because I'm at the point where there's too many planes to fly and not enough flights to do, or keep current with everything too. So I think it would be a good plane to learn though. And because you can, the other thing that would sell me on the MD-80 would be a freight version. Like if you get a freight version, then you could do a lot of the modern stuff in the US at least, where they're doing, where they're converting old MD-80s to small freighters for like just-in-time delivery. The Maldives, yeah. Pretty much any group of closely placed islands. See, I think I approached the 247 from the wrong angle, because I think, okay, so what commercial routes are we going to do? What long hauls are we going to do? What multi-stop things are we going to do? When really it's just kind of a kite. It just floats in the wind. But that's a good idea. We can do some short hops in that. So that might be worth revisiting. We'll have to definitely look at that. It's just, yeah. But I'm not completely sick of the 737 yet. I have DC-6. I also feel guilty about the DC-6. Gotta fly the DC-6 more. But maybe. We'll see. It's definitely worth a look. It's good to see more variety, too, with other people flying it. I enjoy seeing that. Alright, so we should be at 48. Yeah, 48 miles. We got both VORs, so let's switch over. We're a little off to the right, but that's actually not wrong. Yeah, DC-3 has... It's taken me a while to get into the DC-3, to be honest. I haven't... Or my external camera's not working. Excuse me. That's weird. Are any of my keyboard binds working? So something's going on. Oh well. Yeah, DC-3 took me a while to just collect all the stuff. The Duckworks mod and the Got Friends mod. Just sit down and do it, and it's been fun. It's been a fun one. Yeah, and it really is. I mean, if you had said... So I think last, or in, you know, I think in March, April, May of last year, I think I'm sitting around thinking, okay, so this is great, but what else can we bring in? And I think at that point, I was really looking at X-Plane 12, see what other things could come in that, you know, you could do an X-Plane 12 that you couldn't do here. And I think the last kind of 9 months or so has really changed that for me. Not that it's a competition necessarily, but there's just so much going on in the Microsoft Flight Sim world right now between all the really good airplanes. And that's true, Snip. We don't have to fly things that we have to. That's really annoying that my keybinds aren't working. We know it isn't a job. We do want to. You do want to fly it. You have to dedicate... I have to find ways to dedicate a chunk of time to flying an airplane to really get the most out of it. But yeah, it's a really fun time for the sim. I mean, once that 777 comes out, that's pretty much all I need. Really. And I mean, even you could say the A310 fills that role, although you know. It is just, yeah, it's an outstanding sim with a lot of options. I mean, to come in, if I were to start from scratch right now, it would be really exciting. Just because you have so many options instead of, you know, and I think it was interesting watching it all come out as it happened. But for someone starting in Microsoft Flight Simulator now, I mean, you've got so many options for what you want to fly, and in GA, airliners, Propliners, you've got a great lineup. I mean, yeah, just wide body, a big wide body jet, and I'm really excited for the PMDG over something else, because I know we have the A310, but the PMDG, the two things the PMDG has done really well with the 737 is it performs well for what it is. It's a complex airliner. It still performs great. It performs better than a lot of planes, but also the time acceleration works really well. So I'm a big fan of time acceleration for long hauls. I don't have time to sit around for all day, so I really like the way they do it. It seems to work really well in the sim up to 4 times, and if I can get a plane running at 4 times sim rate, I can do a transatlantic flight in an afternoon. That's like it takes a 9 or 10 hour flight to a 3 or 4 hour evolution, which is just yeah, that's it. 757 will be fun. MD-11, a good one. I like the big cargo planes. So I mean, yeah, I mean, if I had my wish list, but I was looking at it, as I said, well, you know, this summer, fall, when X-Plane 12 was coming out, I said, okay, is there anything I want to do in X-Plane 12 that I can't do in Microsoft Flight Simulator? And I mean, yeah, I guess the A350, big jets like that, you know, 757, but it's just a big investment for 1 or 2 planes. And I mean, even the 737 can kind of, I mean, with the BBJ, you can stand into some of those roles. Not exactly perfectly, but you definitely can. But yeah, and I mean, Snip, you make a good point with flying what feels fun. I really love anything that lets me kind of sit with an airplane for a while. I feel like sometimes with all these options, it's easy to get kind of ADHD squirrel brain, and you see a video, you see a stream with someone, and you jump on that. So that's why I kind of like these series too. I thought the Transcon 22 was really fun because we got to spend a lot of time in the 310, in the Cessna 310R, and just kind of let me focus on, okay, how do I fly this better? How do people really fly this plane? That's what that's I think when I get the most out of it is when I can kind of sit with it for not even forever, for months, but for like just a repeated sessions with the plane. It's hard to bounce around all the time. Yeah, that is the thing, right? If the 730's had a tablet, because the way you have to load everything, load the passengers, doing turnarounds isn't really fun in the 7.3. It's good, it simulates it, but what are we at, 13 miles? But yeah, tablet would be huge. And the Phoenix really does that well. It's a really good, really well done airplane. I've been meaning to do, that's another thing on my list. Like, I want to do more A320 stuff. Because I just haven't. Even, like, you know, when that was the only game in town, I just really haven't done that much A320. And the autopilot panel is just black magic to me. I don't understand the pushing and pulling. I know it makes sense, but I just haven't invested the time to figure it out. That is one of the things I want to look into, but I figure I can't justify the Phoenix until I fly the fly-by-wire enough to justify it. And, you know... But yeah, SimBrief and NavGraph integration is big. 738 is definitely clunky. But I'm someone who's never really used that. I've always just punched in the flight plans myself. A lot of the time. Which takes time. Yeah, exactly. Well, and I know it's a very smart plane. I know it's thinking for you. It's doing all those. There's a lot of small quality of life adjustments. And it is a very modern, well thought out plane. There's certainly nothing against the Phoenix. Or certainly nothing against the A320 family. It's just not what's seared into my brain. And that's okay. We'll get there. There'll be time to explore that. It is a lot more manual, I think. It's a lot more, well, and big clunky switches. You know, you gotta hit every switch. It doesn't really tell you what's on and off. And little stuff like you'd think they would have some panel that says the warning lights and tell you what they are. You'd think that would be kind of the minimum. But the 7.3 doesn't have that. It is a lot more manual. But also, like, not. It's still a highly automated commercial airliner. But just in certain ways, it is. What's our next turn? We're going to... San Marcos is what we're passing. We're going to turn right. Heading 315. It looks like 315. That's what we're on. Am I one behind? I might be one behind. We're going to Paso Robles. Paso Robles is 306, so a slight left. Just a very slight left. Heading 306, which is going to be 305 plus 1. And we are on the Paso Robles VOR. We will tune in Salinas on 117.3. And those differences are cool too. I mean, that's part of what's fun about this hobby, is that we get a chance to explore a lot of those differences. You know, in a way that, you know, even a real pilot, I mean, there are plenty that are type rated on both probably, but you know, you get to bounce back and forth between the two whenever you want. And yeah, I mean, I think you could say the auto is maybe a misnomer, but also, I guess it depends on what you mean by auto too. Sometimes I feel like the Airbus takes it too far because I don't understand what it's doing. It starts doing things that I don't understand. Whereas 737 is auto insofar as I know that it's going to follow the descent profile and nothing else. But that's parts auto. So it is much more of a localized automated, but in like chunks, whereas the Airbus is kind of a whole package, if that makes any sense. And those pieces of automation in the 7.3 don't necessarily talk to each other. Which is part why it makes a fascinating airplane, I mean. But it is interesting. All right, so we're making that turn now. We're looking for 306 or so. We're a little off, but not horrible. Time to start thinking about LAX. So we are at 14,000 feet. We are at 14,000. We need to go down to probably 3,000 at San Fran. KSFO. We have runways available. Well, wind is calm, so that gives us pick of the litter. And if that's the case, we'll come out over the bay and land on the 2.8s. So 2.8 left would get us to the terminal faster, so let's take that. So 2.8 left. And if they have an ILS for that, that would be perfect. And what are my transition options? So the Faith is 27 miles south of that. And that's one SFO 115.8 101. So we can do that. We'll shoot the ILS via Faith. That'll be fine. So here's our approach. That'll put us on. That puts us at 3,100 feet for our final descent, which means we need to lose, we'll call it 11,000 feet. 5 nautical miles per 1,000 feet is 55 nautical miles. And the localizer is going to be on 109.55. Just planning our descent into San Francisco now, as we get on our way. .8, and then again we're going towards the Salinas of VOR, and at Salinas we're going to need to be we're going to need to start getting serious about coming downhill. So Salinas, we have 30 miles to Santee, and then another 30, so we've got about 50 miles until we're getting close to the area, and then we'll kind of vector ourselves over the bay. Well, actually, let me pull up. Let me do this right. Let's pull up a. Let's get that waypoint up. The ocean to Woodside, and then off to. What did I say that was? Faith. Oh, that's all the way out there. Okay, I see that. Well, then let's not go to OSI. So let me show what I'm thinking about and talking about. So that's what we're looking at for the arrival. But actually, we're just going to get rid of Oceanside and take it from the Santee intersection. Or the Woodside. I don't know why I'm saying Oceanside. We'll go away. I mean, you could even just cut it direct. Yeah, direct up there from Salinas. Yeah, so United 651, sorry. You were cleared to San Francisco, Salinas, then direct Faith. I'll expect the ILS runway 28 left. Thank you very much. That's true. Quality options, more to look forward to. We get some weird ones. So that's always good. Okay, so that would put us there, and then that would, we'll need the San Francisco VOR on 115.8. 101 radial inbound. That gives us a good 30 miles. So if we're down at, say, 3,100 feet at Faith and slowing, that's pretty good. I like that because we're not going to make any turns on final, which would be good. So that means we're going to depart Salinas Not 293, but 327. We're just going to X out the rest of this route. 327 for 46 miles. So actually, just about as we're passing over Salinas, we can start our descent. We're 23 miles from there. Let's check my chart. 76 miles. So at about 35, 40 miles, we'll start to think about switching over. So thank you all for coming along and just joining us. We are flying over California. We departed Los Angeles about an hour ago-ish, 50 minutes. And we were flying the DC-6B Mainliner in United colors. It's United Flight 651 between Los Angeles and San Francisco for this leg. The stream will continue next week with the flight from San Francisco to Portland to Seattle. And then we'll see about Vancouver. I think this particular itinerary did never go to Vancouver, but the United flights definitely did continue that up to British Columbia. We'll play that one by ear, but this is our Pacific Coast DC-6 series. Cruising over California now. We departed Santiago, with a quick 25-minute flight to Los Angeles, LAX. And now we're on our way, getting ready to prep our descent into San Francisco. We've got about 50 miles to Salinas and then another 50 in. And that's about it. So thank you all for coming along. Hey, it's back. Our classic Mainliner. It does. I like these Propliner routes. It gives you a little bit different view of things than the big airliner routes do. We'd be flying this 7.3 at, I don't know what, 30, maybe not. I'd probably go. It's an hour. I don't know. How high do they fly to San Francisco? Probably at least 20 something thousand. I'd imagine they're getting into the 30s. Of course, clear day like this, you can see all over, but just a slightly different perspective on it all. Kind of cool shot with the clouds. That one's back there. Let's just do a quick check, make sure everything's looking okay. Full temps in the green. Carburetor's a little low. Probably close the cow flaps a little bit. See if that helps. Low pressure's looking good. Got fuel pressure, which is good. Cylinder head temps are alright. Engines are pretty consistent and have outputting similar levels of power. That's about all you can ask for. And did I lose my VR? It's possible. So I got 32 miles to Salinas. Looks like we lost Paso Robles. And then next up after that is going to be actually just SFO. And SFO is going to be on 115.8. Let's get that one in here. And the localizer on standby 109.55. Are we picking up San Fran? No, not yet. Not picking up SFO yet. Couldn't be, it's about 100 miles away. And then again, right around Salinas, we'll start our descent to 3,000 feet. Good, about 8 minutes to Salinas, and then it's going to be a turn. What did I say? Heading 327. Get the GoPro view. Then heading 327. Upbound. You can just about see the Monterey, Salinas area. Fun place to fly. Thank you all for coming along, for just joining us. We are heading on to San Francisco, United Flight 651. I'm flying 561 all night. 651 service to San Francisco and beyond as we trek up the Pacific Coast in our DC-6B Mainliner following a United timetable from 1959. So the numbers are all wonky, but this is our second leg of the day. We departed San Diego for Los Angeles now to where we are here, which is just about 15 miles south of the Salinas VOR. At which point we will think about our descent. Now we do need to think about terrain a little bit as we're getting in. So what is, according to my VFR charts, kind of my minimum safe altitude? Those are 4,000 foot peaks. So we're looking at about, so I'd say a floor of 6,000 feet based on the terrain until we get past it, and basically over San Jose. And once we're over San Jose Airport, we can turn it in. Here's what I'm looking at. We're basically going to start our descent here, really a little before Salinas. Make that right turn, descend on down for those 40 miles or so. But we need to make sure we're kind of clear of this stuff here. We can either go right, we see it, but keep this above 6,000 feet and we should be okay. I just keep it coming down. And I know we're getting close now because we're pulling here about 15 miles, yeah. Let's see if we can find Monterey Airport's right there. Laguna Seca, the racetrack somewhere around there too. But so far so good, we're cruising pretty nicely. We're a little off of the VOR or the radial, but that's alright. We'll come right and see if we can't pick it up back up. I mean, Salinas, the VOR, the Salinas VOR is at the airport. I think it's the Salinas airport. Which is just kind of a few miles north and east of Monterey. So Monterey's down here. Salinas is somewhere here under our nose. About 10 miles. So as long as we're pretty close on that. I do have some sceneries for these airports around here. So they're part of kind of my IFR training circuit. The airports we fly small planes into. It's pretty good. Everything else looks good. We got fuel. Still about, yeah, 2,500 pounds in our main tanks and 1,000 in the aux tanks. I haven't done a fuel switch yet. We could if we want to, but we'll see. So about 10 miles now, with again kind of a floor of 6,000 feet until we get close. Which really is going to mean over that ridge, and then we're pretty much into the valley. Out over San Jose. We have SFO in there. Is SFO coming in yet? Not yet. Not yet. About 5 miles. It's a little right of us. So we'll go ahead and adjust. And then we'll prepare our descent. Again, aiming for about 1,000 feet per minute. I just don't want to go down too early because again, we got to clear that at or above 6,000 or so. And we're kind of homebrewing these arrivals too. I'm sure that you could find some better ways to do it. I'm going to call us crossing Salinas now. Let's go ahead and get some forward pitch. The gyropod's going up now. That's what I'm not understanding. We may have to hand fly it. want it to go down, though. Still kind of bottoming out at 500 feet per minute. So let me fly. Heading up a U.
26 inches set. Descent checklist, please.
My airplane.
Altimeters and flight instruments. Cross-checked. Seatbelt signs on.
And now we're looking for, what did I say? 327.
Low. Descent checks are complete.
33 minus 123 or so. Something like that. We're gonna come right. So we'll bring our buddies in the peanut gallery have brought the power back to 26 inches. And we're going to keep on descending. We're going to shoot our approach into San Francisco. ILS for runway 28 left. Localizer is going to be 109.55. Final approach course is going to be heading 284. And basically what's going to happen is we're going to get out over the bay. And we're going to basically be on a 27-mile final flying the ILS as published. It's from the initial approach fixed Faith, which is mine does 27.7 DME. On the San Francisco VOR 101 radial outbound. So we'll go track down that point. And so that'll be the kind of next thing to pick up. And I've completely missed my radial as I've been talking, and we're also descending pretty quickly. So let's bring that back a little bit. Just trim it out. Luckily, I mean, when you're the DC-6, once you're at altitude and at speed, it's really not too much of a handful to hand fly. It's pretty stable. I'm just giving it a little bit of trim. I'm not really touching the stick right now. And I've completely blown by it. That's alright. Our real goal here, our end goal, is to intercept that San Francisco 101 radial inbound, or 101 outbound. Which, believe it or not, is going to be 284 inbound. Now we're coming through 10,000 now. Now, what was that? So the distance from Salinas was quoted at 46 miles. So 46 miles from Salinas, we should be expecting to turn left to intercept the radial into San Francisco. We're still pretty high. We need to kind of keep it going now. Maybe even step on it a little bit. And the weather was calm. Let's check it again. SFO. Well, now they're showing 290 at 6 knots. Wow, that's perfect. Okay, cool. That'll work for me. 290 at 6 knots. So we picked the right runway. Sending now 9,500. Keep it coming down. Keep it coming down. And yeah, I'm just really light yoke inputs. And some trim wheel, but yeah, 3,000, so we'll be, you know, kind of aiming for 3,500 feet or so. Because we will still be a little ways out, and I'd just like to have a little extra altitude to play with. Or maybe even 4,000 feet would be good. And then the other thing is, we're going to run before landing, but to get everything kind of configured and back in my control, but we're going to leave gear up for the moment. If we're on a kind of long flight. Just because we're going to bleed so much airspeed on that final portion. And that's about 8,000, 8,400. I'm going to go ahead and switch over now to the radial I want to find, which is going to be 2,823,4. Now we're just dive bombing, which isn't what I want to do. Just keep it back a little bit, but not all the way, you know. Just a little bit. Right there is where we want to live. It's coming down now. I don't necessarily have the San Francisco VOR still coming in, which concerns me just a tad. 115.8, 115.8. Okay, so I got the right thing. And then 117. Three zero. Just to make sure we're on the right track, and then 109.55. And if we can't get SFO, we'll pick up the localizer. See, we're way right of where we want to be right now. Because that's kind of the bay. So yeah, I've turned a little aggressively, but that's alright. And we don't want to keep ascending now. We're at 6,000. Let's just hold at 6,000 so we're out of these hills. Because that's the bay up there. San Jose Airport's right there. And if we're not getting the San Francisco VOR, let's go ahead and try the localizer. Otherwise, we're going to try and park it here at a kind of a heading of 280 or 284 or so. And come on down with a minimum of about 4,000 feet. Should be fine. Because Faith is like right around here. That's 5,000 feet. I think 4,000 feet will be our final for the moment. Until we can get some navigation going. Still don't see anything on the... Still no SFO. There it is. There you are. Alright, so we got the San Francisco VOR. 5,000. Let's just keep it going down to 4. Then we'll get in range checks and bleed off this speed. And again, 27.7 DME is faith. Keep it going down, that's 4, 6. So now I'm going to throw away Salinas and try and get that localizer. And once we see the localizer come in, we'll switch over to that. And that's coming in nicely. We're here about 31 miles. And this is a nice, this is a good approach for us as a DC-6 because it gives us a nice 30-mile final. Which at least I appreciate. I think you can, oh, well, maybe not. I'm not going to say that. Alright, so the next body of water we can drop into unceremoniously is the Frisco Bay, the San Francisco Bay. Of some fame. But still would be nice if we could stay dry here. Let's get flight recorder going too for this one since this is the last leg. That's about 4,000, 4.2. Alright, now we're pointing at the VOR. There's the airport. You can just about pick it out. Out there in the distance. We'll let speed come down. And it'll take them a minute to run the in-range checks.
Cooling turbine.
There's the San Jose airport, lovely airport.
Fuel booster pumps. On low. Fuel tank selectors. Mains on, crossfeed off. Hydraulic bypass valve. Down. No smoking signs. On.
Now let's go sterile cockpit. A little bit of fog
Range checks complete.
rolling in. It is, isn't it? A very scenic approach into San Francisco. I wish we had a better airport at San Francisco, but San Jose is a lot of fun. The freeware for San Jose is good, which is pretty awesome. So I've done a couple Southwest flights there. Yeah, that fog's come in. All right, here we go. Still no localizer. Yeah, you could look for the white buildings. Yeah, and most of us were looking for a lighter patch with some long lines in it, and that can be kind of tricky. I do wish there's kind of a way to even selectively say, hey, I want these things rendered in farther out and not everything else. Like maybe I could render buildings and not trees, but I don't know. So in-range checks have been done. Just waiting on the localizer now. In lieu of a localizer, we need to be at where's that chart? So at 10 DME, we need to be at 3,100 feet. Is basically what it's going to boil down to, and then we should be able to pick it up. But we're a little bit right of the course, and there's our localizer. Let's go over to the localizer. We'll kick 115.8 to nav 2. Still no glide slope yet. And yeah, we're way right of the localizer. So maybe I touched, maybe am I on like 2.9 or something? I don't know, it looks like 2.8. I don't know. So yeah, by 10 DMA we want to be at 3,100 feet. And things are going pretty well so far. And this, I mean, this approach should line up pretty well for a traditional DC-6 kind of approach where we say landing checks and slow down and all that. We'll see. So we got the fog. What are our minimums for the ILS, just in case? 213. And the altimeter, I'm not gonna mess with it too much. I'm gonna cheat a little. It was like 3034 last I checked. Seems like it's a little less now. There's the airport. And we now have glide slope 2. I'm not sure I believe these localizers, but whatever. So I feel like the San Francisco VOR was a little funky. And then as the glide slope comes in, we'll kind of follow that. We're now at 15 DME.
Flaps 20. Setting flaps 20.
Let's let them get stuff set up. It might take a little bit of time to bleed off some speed. I don't want a balloon, I just want to keep it steady.
20 flaps set. Pacers ridge, please. Auto ridge.
So if you're just joining us, we're on final land, runway 28 left at San Francisco here. Second leg of our flight as United 651, a classic DC-6 Mainliner flight from 1959. Straight from the 1959 timetables, we're a little above the glide slope now. We want to just get below it. And are they waiting on speed for landing lights? Probably.
Gear down and locked.
Gears down and locked. That'll help.
2400 RPM.
We need to even go a little bit more.
RPM set. Cow flaps. +3 degrees. Cow flaps set.
I don't want a balloon.
ADI. ADI off. ADI is off.
So we're a little left
Speed good.
and a little high. Still, speed's looking okay, which is good. You just gotta keep the pressure on to keep us descending.
Carbine. Carbine call. Set call. Before landing checks complete.
Pulling that in, I'm in flaps 40 now. We'll probably have to come back off that just a bit. We gotta come right a little bit too. Kinda wanna keep speed up around 120 until we're on a kinda short final. And then start to bring it down. Throttles are kind of set. In a perfect world, we wouldn't. I'm saying that the nav is out. Perfect world, we won't have to touch it, but as we well know, this is not a perfect world. Let me make sure flight recorder is going to record for me. And we just try to keep it, at this point, we're pretty well on the glide slope. Let's keep it between 500 and 1,000 feet per minute. Gears down, Speed's 120 and dropping a little bit. That's good. Altitude's looking good. We got the runway in sight. So all things considered, it's not looking too poor at the moment. Alright, so we are well on our way. I feel low, but I don't... The glide slope is not backing me up on that. It says glide slope's good, but it says I've lost my lateral nav, which is a little strange. Like, I've lost the localizer, not the glide slope, which is weird. Is my radio out? What happened here? Well, that's odd. Alright, so we're going to do a visual approach. Let's bring flaps up. So I don't want to trust that. And let's just bring power forward a little bit. Sorry, engines, I'm sorry. It wasn't... my throttles weren't linked. Let's just bring it forward a bit, because we're going to be a little short here. This isn't feeling good. Let's bring flaps up. Let the speed come up. And reduce the... yeah, so we're following faulty indications here. And we just kind of need to level out a little bit and not fall out of the sky. So good thing we were a VMC there, because that was... why I don't know why we had a radio failure. Maybe I hit a button? It looks like a complete electrical failure, actually. Maybe a generator went bad? I'm going to bring power back to 100 MEP. We're looking okay now, so let's bring flaps out. I'll have to watch the tape on that one. Electrical failure. That's weird. When did that happen? Let's go flaps 40. We're high now, a little bit. Well, a lot of bit. High and fast. But we got a lot of runway. And frankly, with an electrical failure, a complete electrical failure, which means I have no nav, let's just get it on the ground. That's flaps 50. We'll just reduce power a little bit as we're coming in. I know, sacrilege. I'm sorry, Rob. Here we go. This is good. Let's just hold it off the runway. Hold it in the flare so that speed bleeds off a little bit. And put it down. I don't think there's any need for reverse. If we're going to do the same thing we did at KLAX, we're going to exit right and just pop ourselves in the middle of one of the terminals. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Well, I can't make a PA announcement because my electronics are dead. What happened here? I don't know. That's weird. I don't know what would... I guess... a circuit break? I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm glad I, you know, cued in on that. That was... because I was staring at this glide slope. And I was saying, oh, that's weird. So I was saying that a few minutes ago. So I, you know, I should have trusted my gut earlier, but I'm glad I trusted my gut when we did, because we were going into the water. Because that wasn't right. That wasn't active. But it ended up being a good landing. We made it. So let's go to a slightly less appealing terminal. I mean, it's really cool that they can do default terminals, but I wish they would just step it back a little bit, because some of these just don't look very good. You know, like these are my least favorite. I don't understand. I've never seen an airport, well, not many airports that look like that. But like if it was shorter, and you could convince me, but. All right. Anyway, we're coming up. Let's just pull on up here. And after landing checks, please, gentlemen, if you can. Okay, so what happened? Where are we at? Park and brake. What is working? What is not working? Do I have stuff on? Battery's on. Battery ground power. That switches on.
Landing checks complete.
The generators are on. Yeah, it's a weird. I mean, I get it, because I'm sure they get a. I'm sure they have data on how high the building is, right? How tall the building is from whatever database they have, and they say, well, San Francisco is, but it's usually kind of more. I don't know. It's just I wish it was just a short kind of generic one, and then it would be less pulling out of it. But like even like it's like at Cleveland and Pittsburgh, and Charlotte and places like that where it's like huge concrete walls, which. It's just a little out. Let's see. What else could it be? I mean, we definitely have no DC amps, right? So our electric system's gone. But why? The generators are on. The inverters are on. I mean, I have to assume it's pilot error. But maybe it's just a failure. Oh, and see, it disappears when I look up. Let's go back and check circuit breakers, I guess. I don't know. Do we pop something? So we had electrical failure on final there, which was weird. Those all look like they're on. Here's two. But those are just utility outlets. That shouldn't be anything. Water heater shouldn't be anything. I don't think these are functional either, but or maybe they are. It looks like there's no circuit breakers off. Do we have a generator failure? And then we drain the battery? That's weird. Just a full electrical failure. That's kind of cool. I mean, that's kind of cool. I not that you know, we had to survive. I'm glad we didn't fly into the water again. But, yeah, so complete electrical failure here for United 651. This airplane, what is this? This is November 37534. Mainliner, New York, probably going to get grounded here for a minute while they figure out why we had a complete electrical failure. Didn't look like any of the breakers flipped. I don't know. Let's cut engines and get on ground power.
Cut engines.
But curious and curious. So I shouldn't have cut engines because we were going to do the replay. But that is all right. We'll actually just go ready for taxi at that point. I'm kind of more interested in how if I want to see if it comes back if we put ground power on. Well, now we've got something. Well, we got some lights. Light instrument power failure. Yeah, okay, so I see that. Yeah, I see all that.
Parking checks complete. Airplane secured.
So let's get ground power out here and just troubleshoot a little bit. Ground power. We want ground power on. So ground power, does that come back though? Yeah, okay. So my suspicion is a generator or alternator failure. Maybe in one of the inverters. I don't know. But you'd think we'd have redundancy there. I'll have to do some reading, but That's weird. Let's fire it up. I'm going to put it in ready for taxi. We'll do a little bit of a replay of the landing. And we'll get on our way. That is odd. Let's see. Electrical failure. I have the PDF up. Where are generator voltages? And see, it hasn't come back, so that makes me think that we're not completely crazy. One of the ammeters. So where are all my ammeters? I know there's one here, but shouldn't there be one for the... I gotta look it up. I gotta look up what you do to electrically troubleshoot a plane like this. Where else? I haven't seen any other ammeters, but they're talking about some for each generator. Yeah, I mean, I know they have some failures in there. I don't know what components exactly. I've experienced a lot of the engine ones. But I do know that they have failures. Oh, here are my ammeters. So I have nothing on any of these. I'm going to click through these and just see, you know, because... So all the gens are down. So I don't know. I'm not well versed enough, certainly, to say what would cause all... Because it's all the generators? Which tells me that this is probably not a generator failure. I have no idea. I have no idea. Anyway, let's watch a let's watch a replay of the landing, and well, then we'll see what we get on the next one. Oh yeah, so there's where we get real low. So here's where we've realized, oh, nothing's on, nothing's working. I have no electrics at all. And what I expected to see the glide slope also show inactive, and that's not how it is when it's off. It just shows the nav is off. So that small thing almost forced us into the water. But thankfully some pilot intuition to save the day a little bit. And also, hey, why aren't my radios working? Hopart, did I use, what's it called? Flight recorder. The external one. I'm on flight recorder 0.16, which is probably hopelessly outdated. But it's real easy. It's real easy, and I don't need perfect by any stretch of the imagination. So here we kind of figure it out, get ourselves into a position where we can actually make a halfway decent landing. We just came in real fast. That's not bad if I do say so myself. That felt pretty good. That felt much better than the first one. So as we grind to a halt, thank you all for coming along on this flight. We'll be doing this again next week as we finish off the trip, Portland and Seattle, and maybe Vancouver. We'll see. But thank you all for coming along. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. If you have any questions, ideas, other things, all the usual YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, goes a long way. And yeah, hope you all take it easy and have a great rest of your day.